Picture a room filled with variation upon variation of the same thing. Sounds like an unrelenting cascade of monotony and a lack of imagination. A real weirdo probably lives in a place like that. He only eats oatmeal for dinner and Salisbury steak for breakfast. Now picture your favorite movie star in their home. A star in their boudoir, if you will. Angelina Jolie, bet you would love a glimpse of that, wouldn't you, pervert? Leo DiCaprio's bedroom. Sounds nice, ladies. Him laying you down on a California king the size of a Rhode Island. Well, guess what, ladies? Leo's room is covered in action figures. Does that make it hotter? And perverts, Angie's room is covered with antique knives. She wasn't in the bone collector for nothing. That's right, this week on No Accounting for Taste, we are talking collecting. Hal, you're good with words. You know that, man?
I think the gym is dumb.
Did Rachel walk in the room? Of course I've eaten a Baconator.
Man, if you ain't doing CrossFit, you can get CrossFit.
You're right. A long burger's not the worst idea I've ever heard.
That's your sitcom right there as a Mr. Fix-It-All who just can't fix his heart.
We will not be defending Atlantic City.
No accounting for taste. If it's something that somebody loves, let's try and celebrate it instead of shitting on it.
Welcome to the show. What's up, buddy?
Oh, not much, Sweets. What you getting into?
Oh, you know, just shredding some gnarly powder up here in Steamboat Springs.
Shredding the gnar, slashing through the pow-pow?
Yep, that's me. Extreme Torres now.
Extreme Torres?
It's the best I could do. It's what I said to my snowboard instructor yesterday.
I like that you're out there doing it, man.
I'm trying. Just strapping into the things was actually a little bit winding, to be honest.
Bending over that much to touch your toes is difficult.
It's not as easy as one would think, but
I don't doubt it, man.
Yeah. What about you, Bubba?
Just kicking it, man. Kicking it around here, kicking it in my office, looking at things that have been accumulated over the years.
Is that right? I like where you're heading with this.
Which speaking of that, you know, I look at some of the stuff that I have, and I'm like, oh, I have that particular item sparks a memory of when I acquired it, or this or that. But
yes.
I would say I would not call myself a collector. Okay. I would not say that.
But you are an accumulator?
Well, I have things that have personal meaning to me, not just because I simply acquired them to complete a set, but I have that. But I don't know about you. I mean, were you ever a collector of items?
A few things here and there in my life, but one of the things I do now is I collect my hotel room keys, and then I write the city and the state on the back of them. And I don't know what
I've wanted to forget more Hampton Inns than I've wanted to remember.
Buddy, well, some people don't love a French toast combo as much as I do. But
they let you do anything with that waffle iron in the lobby, by the way.
They will, yeah.
They don't say you got to just put the pancake mix in it. You can throw whatever you want in that thing.
Sure, like I hard boil my eggs and then I recook them.
You reheat a pork chop in there at night if nobody's looking.
But I guess I'll do something with those. Like I have an idea to do something with, like make a collage or something out of them, but it's not really.
That is my favorite thing to hear on hoarders. Is when somebody's like, what's this Home Depot bucket full of miscellaneous buttons? And somebody's always like, I might make a collage. They always have.
Is that a thing?
Oh, a collage is always just the elusive project that nobody's ever going to make.
Yes.
When there's a bunch of shit laying around. Well, it may be a collage.
It's the screenplay for the mentally insane.
It's like, ever somebody like, I'm a collage artist. Like, nah, don't take that second word out of your description.
Fine, Kyle. I'll make a mobile.
You glue magazine pages together because that's what they told you to do in the special hospital. That's what you do.
It's basically a vision board is also basically insanity.
But no, I get it. I get like you travel and like what's something that I used to have I bought up one of those pull down maps, like the grade school education, elementary school pull down maps. And I had one on my wall and I was marking off all the cities I'd been.
That's essentially what this is, the same version of that. But I just had a moment of clarity. Like I also realized I often get refrigerator magnets from the cities I go to, so I might be a little bit more close to this subject than I originally had thought about.
But I like that. I was doing the magnets for a minute too. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Because they serve a purpose. It's not like the spoons. I never understood the spoons.
People get spoons?
Oh, yeah. Spoons are a big thing.
Really?
Yeah. Khalil collect. You see a cabinet and it's just like, this spoon's from West Virginia.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. I think you should just say that.
The answer is they do.
I think part of it is these seem like normal things to collect.
Yeah.
I don't care if I don't have some of them. You know, like, I guess is really with some of these things. Like, I don't care if I don't have an Idaho refrigerator magnet.
Well, I guess that's the psychology of collecting, is that's not going to drive you nuts that you didn't complete a set.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when we'll get into that in a bit, but like, for me, it's as our producer Charlene brought up, the lanyards you get from comedy festivals.
I do. I have those too.
I don't display them. They're in a box, but every once in a while when I have to move that box, I'll look through that box and I'm like, I remember that time. That was a fun time. And I feel if I didn't have that lanyard, that memory might not have the possibility of being triggered.
Yeah, you still have the same staying power. It gives it a little more staying power in the head.
Well, it's like you filed it away, so I don't need the thumbnail. I don't need the folder up on my desktop anymore because that's in the hard drive. I can go, oh, there it is, and look at it. So I can understand some of the the psychological reasons people collect stuff. For me, it's more when it's like market manipulation.
Okay.
Where they've made it so that like they've tricked you into thinking.
Kyle's about to go on a rant about GameStop.
It's okay. Charlene put a note in that said part of her mom's inheritance to her 3 kids is a princess beanie baby for each of them. Now that's a sweet thing. My mom gets my sister a Wizard of Oz Christmas ornament every year. Like that's become a tradition. And so now it's a very sweet thing, but then I hate that the cynical part of me is like, yeah, but isn't that just Hallmark going, there's a new one. And so you've started giving somebody these ornaments. Now you need the next one. And my mom is the type of person who I don't want to use OCD and like incorrectly because people throw that term around, but the idea that like, well, I've started a tradition. They've they've kind of created the idea of marketing as a tradition. Well, now that you've been giving these ornaments, now you have to give the new one every year. Otherwise, the tradition would be broken.
Yeah, and you can't have that. They can't not.
What's evil about it? Yeah, it's not like they're incredibly expensive, and there is a thing between my mom and my sister. So why do I have to be cynical about it?
Like I'm that way too, a bit. Like I would think that too. Like this is just like. This is a way for people to make money, but it's harmless, really, I guess, for the most part. And it's also like, it's not harmless. It's good. I'm sure your sister likes getting it every year.
Yeah. Create a capitalist created bond.
Yeah. So when we were bad, when I was a kid, my mom would beat the shit out of us with a wooden spoon. So when you were talking about the spoons earlier, that's kind of what I thought you were talking about. And I was like, why would anybody want that? And then I thought about how
the car without asking. This one's from when I had the music too loud.
Yeah, this one is when I whatever. Get it? But the Christmas after she died, I was walking around and I was like going home because it was like going to be a weird Christmas. So I went home to Texas to be with my brothers. But I was walking around up near Columbus Circle. And I just finished therapy, so maybe this is the reason I thought this was a good gift. And I walked through this little winter, like, antique-y sales market outside, and there were these huge wooden spoons this guy was selling. I was like, oh, these are great, fun little gifts for me and my brothers. And I showed them. They both got them, like, oh, yeah, I get it. And then I've never seen them since. There wasn't even a thank you that came out of them.
Well, am I wrong to assume that your brothers maybe aren't the sentimental type?
I would say... if you were a betting man, that would be the bet to go with.
Well, one of the main things, like I think one of the big things that came up early, was Beanie Babies was, I think,
that's a huge one. Yeah.
One of the first things. I mean, there's action figures, And then I remember friends who were like still buying them. Like we'd be old and then you go to a comic book store and people would get comic books and then they'd start collecting the comic books and then the action figures. And I'm like, oh, you don't play with the action figures. You just have them.
Let them sit.
It's fun. You could see it as an investment. I mean, I know a 40-year-old virgin, one of the plot points was that he was able to sell. Well, honestly, though, if you're moving boxes of unopened action figures from apartment to apartment, let's not talk about your investing skills.
Yeah, agreed. Like I hate these people who are like, man, this Bo Jackson rookie car. What we're like, some of those things are valuable. Yeah, but I have seen that you cut up cocaine with baseball cards, so I don't need you telling me about investing.
Ken Griffey Jr., bro. Yeah, the doors on your car are 3 different colors.
You know, Daryl Strawberry liked to do coke and collect things too. Do you remember anybody having a certain collection, like the first time you saw one?
I think it was less collect. I remember seeing the kids that were into comic books and they'd have a few things because it was like their favorite ones.
Yeah.
So they'd have stuff, or like DVD but like comic books or graphic novels and just seeing people with the walls of them in their house. And I never got onto that thing.
Yeah, me neither. My grandfather had just like tons of National Geographics, which I loved to go through. That was like,
we have those.
Yeah. Those are always, that's still a great magazine, even though I think the guy from Rupert Murdoch owns it now.
I could defend that as a collection. I think that's also a resource. I think there's some functionality and practicality to it. Yeah. As a kid, I remember pulling one of those off just to see like, oh, this was from 1952.
That was actually kind of cool to see how old it was.
To hold something that was that old and then look at the pictures. Yeah.
My uncle Johnny had a collection of Playboys. Like a huge one in the garage in
a resource. I'd say it's a resource.
Yeah, it's very usable, but just like boxes upon boxes of them. I mean, he'd have like maybe 500 or 1,000. I don't like so many. And we would always look at them when we went over there because we were like, this is amazing. Look, like tits. And then their house flooded. And they got damaged, and I've never seen a man more like, well, that's it for those. Like, just gave up completely. My Auntie Maura was like, just taking so much joy in just being like, here's a big tin trash can, flop, like just throwing them away.
But that was also a subscription, like National Geographic. You subscribe to it, you got it every month, and it's like, do you want to keep doing this? And it plays into this. Well, now I have so many from so many years.
There is it's kind of designed to make you.
Yeah, and Playboy did have an element of journalism that was
at some point
not that was different than what else was out there. Yeah, there's the naked ladies in it, but it was also like more interesting, saucier articles than other things. I know I read it for the articles, but so again, that plays into the ease of like, I guess I'll just re-up my subscription. Yeah. Now I look, I've got 7 years worth.
Yeah.
And now I can go back 5 years ago and like, I remember I was at this time in my life when this magazine showed up at my door. Cause this for personal stuff, like I've got 5 guitars, can't play one of them, but I have 5 of them, but they're usable items. They all get used.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
These things that I have are all usable items.
Yeah. Mine are not. Which is, I feel like you're doing better with it than I am.
Well, I'm trying to understand why somebody would have something that's, I mean, I guess usable is a subjective term too. Like the fact that I can physically play a guitar is one thing. The fact that you want to have 20 out of 20 of this particular type of guitar or have the serial numbers in order gives somebody a different psychological satisfaction. And I think we will talk about that when we come back from the break. Okay, so why do people collect stuff? Why do they do it? Answer me right now, Shane. Why do they do
it? Memories. I think memories is the positive. Yeah. I don't. It's kind of, it goes back to that thing of you going back to like, you see the lanyard and you're like from a comedy festival and you're like, I like that. I think that's a positive way to do it.
Yeah.
But I also, I don't know. Could be kind of.
What's the mental health tipping point of collecting to hoarding is what I'm curious about. Like at what point?
Because it's not the items, right?
No.
Like, is that what, I mean, depends on, I guess it is if there's something very strange, it's the items, but like.
If you want to go to, we have an article from lovetoknow.com.
Okay.
And they have, it says, why do people collect things? 9 common reasons.
Yes. Got it.
And they all they all make sense. Like, number 1, family and emotional meaning. Sure. Like that doesn't even have to have any real world value as to why you would have.
Outside of like, this is our thing.
Yeah. Someone gave this to me.
Yeah.
Someone gave me this gift.
Yeah. I guess like, you walk into someone's house and you see a bunch of shot glasses or something. You don't think that's too weird whenever a bunch of people have, like a bunch of Senior Frogs collections or like shot glasses or what.
I always wonder what happens when, like, I don't know if you had that kind of family or something where, like, oh, if you expressed interest in one thing at one point, then people are like, oh, we'll just get you something related to that for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I know.
What's that? You said you like dolphins. Well, strap in, because the next 50 years of your life, every gift is going to be somehow dolphin related, and you'll be expected to put it on display, which you'll do out of guilt, but people will misinterpret as your ever growing love of dolphins.
And then you feel an immense pressure the one time you tell your grandmother not to get you something apple based for Christmas.
Yeah. And then they're like, I don't know you anymore.
Yeah. You're like, I guess you're all grown up. It's like, that's a little weird because it is kind of them putting it their own thing on it. Like, this is a way for them to have a relationship with you. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
You said you liked this when you were 11. Do you remember that? Anyway, this is your retirement party and I got you a stuffed dolphin, or like Precious Moments dolls. I think it's even sadder if somebody just gets them for themselves.
Yeah, of course it is.
But what is it? What difference does it? Like, okay, who's to say that
it doesn't make a difference? I guess, and maybe it doesn't. Like, yeah. Who's
to say to make like whoever with the feeling somebody gets from walking by a curio cabinet of Precious Moments dolls versus someone that has a $4,000 Mondrian in their house? They're both doing the same thing, which is collecting dust in the physical world. They're both just sitting there. Innate objects in the physical world. Why is this one millions of dollars and this shit's $25 at Hallmark?
First of all, I'll have to look up what a Mondrian and a curio cabinet is.
Mondrian is like the guy. It's just the squares. It's like red and black and blue and yellow.
Okay,
with black lines. Shit that you doodle.
Yeah.
No, he's a famous artist. Yeah, he's a famous artist because he really harnessed the power of right angles. And then a curio cabinet is basically just a little glass cabinet that you put shit in that you aren't going to touch ever again.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have one in my mom's house, or
everybody's mom's house has one. Yeah, everybody's mom's.
It's got china in it.
Yep. Maybe a decorated egg and a stand.
Yep. And honest to God, we still have the china. My mom's been dead for 3 years, and I'm like, what are we doing with this? And I'm like, I feel bad if I sell it. I'm certainly not going to give it away.
And fearful to use it. Scared to use it.
Yes. My mother left us with a burden. But I have no idea what I'm going to do with these fucking things. And I don't think she would give a shit. But so maybe I'm working through my own stuff.
Somebody who would give me a gift to not even think about it. Like as a little kid, I would get gifts and my aunt would put like a piece of candy or bubble gum, like tied up with the ribbon on top of it. And I kept that forever. And I don't know, like I couldn't open it to chew the gum. It's just gum. She bought it as last minute to stick on top of the gift. I opened a gift. It's a sweater. Cool. Don't even remember. But I remember specific bubblicious gum that I would just put in a drawer and be like, well, that was a gift. So it's for a special occasion. I had like,
that's actually very sweet.
Yeah. I had like grape Hubba Bubba that I was treating like vintage Dom Perignon or something. Because but it's a psychological thing that you put on it that, oh, someone gave this to me, that it meant something. They're like, no, you're a kid. You like gum, have it. And so I'm sure your mom would be happier if you're like, you know what? I actually eat almost every meal off this china.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's getting used.
Yeah.
And I'm not being disrespectful to it. I'm cleaning it and treating it nice, but like, that's what a plate's for.
I also like keys are another thing I end up having so many of, and I have no idea what they fit anymore, but I feel like a sentimental attachment to them. Because I'll remember, I know what it is I move out of a.
I got you, dog. I got you. Loud and clear. I hear you, man.
Didn't know you were, the pandemic hit you so hard you were back to janitoring at a high school.
You should feel seen.
But yeah, I guess collecting, I guess this is like the positive, it can keep you attached to it in a place. Mm-hmm. Because I still have the key from when I left my last apartment in Portland. And things like that. Yeah. So things like that, you know, and I don't know which key it is that I have, but I know I have that key. Like which key it is in the box, but I know I have that key.
That's an emotion. That's a physically symbolic thing. It's emotionally like, oh, I remember unlocking my door after I got fired, or unlocking my door after my first good show, or something that. Like, and now I'm back home. Now I can just really sit in this chair and celebrate or feel sad because I'm in my sanctuary.
So I guess like there's a good. The thing with collecting, I guess, keeping you attached to something is really a big part of it to me.
Well, that's number 2 on the list, is that people collect to connect to their childhood.
Or any part of their life, really, I guess.
But when it's, okay, you know, I liked Star Wars. And when I was a kid, this particular Luke Skywalker figure was out. And I had it, so that's cool. But the people are like, oh, did Taco Bell just put out another super buttfuck berry blast with whatever, with Grand Mal or whatever on the fucking cup? I better have that. Like, I don't understand I need every single thing that's out. And then you just live in a garage sale.
Yeah, that is like, I don't think we've talked about this yet, but like the amount of space some of it requires is probably a burden for some people.
Yeah.
You know, like I kind of have thought having a storage unit to keep shit in that you're not using is already kind of dumb. Like, you know, and then doing it with shit like, you know, like a Taco Bell Star Wars promotional cup, like that's going to be of value at some point outside. Like, cause like what, you're going to remember the burrito you shit out 9 hours later that split you open from the inside. Like,
is it like a financial motivation for people that think like, well, because, you know, as dumb as that is, when I go on eBay and just happen to wander across, like when McDonald's would have like collectors Sesame Street cups, like glass McDonald's Sesame Street clubs. I'm like, I remember having those. That would be fun to have. It's a glass cup. It's still a, you know, more functional item, but that's a connection to the childhood thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've rubbed off so many little beads of microplastic off of this 5-year-old plastic cup from Port of Call in New Orleans.
Let's go into another reason.
Well, okay. So some of these I feel like double up. Family and emotional meaning. Connect to your childhood. That's an emotional meaning. Knowledge and learning. Some people are lifelong learners. They collect things that they can learn from, such as books, periodic. We said that. It's a resource.
Books are the most acceptable one. We all think that. I do think like the collecting as an investment thing is, investing is dicey in and of itself, just the nature of it.
Yeah.
Like, and then to put it into something that probably won't mature, you know, for the, like, if you buy 900 Taco Bell promotional cups, or you have them and you collect them and you put them in a storage unit and you're hoping in 30 years they fetch a significant amount of money for whatever reason, how much was that compared to the actual like rental of a storage fee unit and these kind of things? Like, I don't think it's completely justifiable.
But you're trying to put a monetary value on people's nostalgia, and being 44 and now seeing skateboards that I just saw kids like would fuck up a trick and snap the board in half and throw it into a ditch are all like, these things are worth hundreds of dollars now. Like, oh yeah, no, like anything, like if you want to invest in dudes' midlife crises. Like look at whatever a 13-year-old is into right now.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Get a bunch of them and hang on to it for 40
So I should
years.
just be like looking at whatever my nephew's Instagram pages are posting right now. Gobble that shit up, sell it in 20 years when they're my age.
I mean, vintage game systems, people like old school Nintendos and things like that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't think it's like bad. I think there's like I think some people think they're investing and they're just not. Like, I think, or they're,
there's
like,
some misguided collections for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. And let's go to this last part of this article that I thought was really good. Is a positive, was the thrill of the hunt. I do like that. Like, it is like the last piece in a puzzle sometimes. Like, whatever that feeling is very relatable, whatever it is.
Yeah. But the fact that, like, you're not Indiana Jones just because you sat on eBay for 9 hours. You know, like, it's not.
When people are calling it like, I've got a lot of work to do, I have a pretty big issue with that.
There was a friend of a friend, I think, like ex-comic in LA, but we went to, there's a flea market, like a Fairfax flea market. And people have like, oh, this is antique furniture, or this is like historic books. And then this guy just had like paid for a slot, and it's just shit he had in his apartment. Like, this isn't. And basically, he was just like counting on somebody to be like, oh, that junk is worth it. Like, you know, that phrase, one man's trash is another man's treasure, has ruined lives, because there's way more trash than treasure out there, and way more preconceived notions about maybe you'll think it's treasure.
That is the very concept of why something is trash and something is treasure is rarity.
Yeah. This is just a People magazine with no cover. This isn't, you hauled this from your home to here.
Yeah.
You burnt gasoline to get that here.
There was a comic in New York who did, his name's Robert Dean. He did a show called The Museum of Dean, where he just took things from his life and his childhood and rented out Littlefield and put it up, and people were like loving it. And it's actually pretty funny. And then he just threw it all in the trash, which I thought was pretty great. Getting to the last part of this, though, this article says, can collecting be a mental disorder? And I'm just going to read this and chime in whenever. Collecting is a healthy and ordinary human activity. It's not helpful to interpret collecting through the filter of a mental disorder. A collection is most often just a collection. While it's true that some people may go overboard in collecting and blur the line between collecting and hoarding, hoarding is an obsessive compulsive behavior. That's a very good point. Collectors pick and choose what they collect and have control over their behavior. Hoarders do not.
All right. Well, I guess that's the definition we were looking for, huh?
Yeah. Thank you very much from this website, antiqueslovetoknow.com.
Where would that guy Barker collected his belly button lint every day for 10 years? Where does he fall, do you guys think?
I mean, I guess that's collector because he had control over it. He didn't collect other people's belly button lint.
All I'm going to say is imagine the smell.
Also, why did you say this guy Barker like he's just a dude who lives down the street? Like, how do we know who this is? You're so familiar with him. What about Barker collecting his belly button lint? Who? Charlene. Who is this?
I'm sorry. I thought when I provided you with the articles that you read them.
Oh, is that under the unique collections?
Yeah.
I didn't get to the unique collections one.
Yeah, belly button fluff at
fluff.
20 fluff. Ugh. But this guy, I will say this man does look like the kind of dude who collects his own belly button lint. I can't. At 22.1 grams, Graham Barker has the largest collection of belly button fluff. It's his own fluff, if you're wondering. He started the collection in 1984.
Does that mean somebody's in second place and pissed about it?
Yeah. Oh, like he's like a guy.
Like there's somebody out there like, I'm never going to catch up.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's the greatest. Who am I? It's like the way like Peyton Manning feels compared to Tom Brady. He's like, I did good.
Oh, those guys could be Top Chef contestants. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we can agree that I guess if you're not going overboard with it, you can collect just about anything, and it's okay.
Because a collector, somebody who's serious about it, won't buy a shitty thing in bad condition just to have it.
That's true. That's a good point. I am having difficulty with the defense of this one because I shouldn't. But let's. Hey, that's enough of our opinions.
Why don't we go to you?
Let's hear
the people.
Let's hear what you guys have to say. Yeah.
Me and the kitty cat are back in the house, everybody. Listen to us on your pods.
K-Square, Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme. Kiki, and ST.
Kiki.
Kiki. Off to another roaring start in this segment.
Another roaring stutter.
Roaring stutter, Kiki.
We got drunk on the break. We got drunk in the last 35 seconds, everybody.
This is the part of the show where we listen to you guys and what you think when we solicit calls from you. As always, we appreciate every one of you calling in. And here are some of the calls that stood out this week. Why don't we start, Kyle? All right, let's listen to hand claims.
Hello, this is Jason, and you were asking about collections, and I thought I'd let you know that I have a small but growing collection of hand planes for woodworking. They're, look like a block. They got a blade in them for smoothing out the top of boards. And hopefully by the end of my life, I'll have a bunch of them because they come in many different sizes and shapes. Anyway, hope you guys are good. Bye.
Thank you, Jason. I get that one. That's part of it, part of his hobby. And you collect vintage items pertaining to the thing you're interested in.
Yeah, so it's just like a tool essentially you use to shape and move.
Yeah, you've seen it. It looks like a block. There's a blade underneath it with like a knob on the top so you can smooth out a piece of wood.
Which one do you think he's going to use to make his own casket?
I think that's an ongoing process. Yeah. Probably something you want to get finished sooner than later. If anybody's listened to me on any other social media, you know that I'm getting one. I'm going to casketwraps.com. You can get a custom wrap on your own casket. I do have a file around here somewhere. The sides have the ZZ Top logo, and the top is just a bunch of butts and G-strings from like a spring break beach towel with just butts, and it says "Never Forget" on the top. So that's what I'm doing with my casket. But Jason, you might be
you might put in a little design, like a little bonsai tree on the side or something. You
don't have to freak people out. Just tell them it's a canoe that you're making a lid for. That's all. You don't have to get people scared.
I think we figured out the name of your next album. A canoe with a lid. I actually think that's a cool one, though. I like his, and it does seem like the kind of thing that he's going to collect and is cool. And then dumb, lame, shitty people who aren't as original and thoughtful as him are going to start collecting them. Like it's going to create them a personality.
Well, I mean, but as comedians, there's not a lot of physical collectible items that go along with it. So like the vinyl record type thing. Yeah. I could see getting like an old Richard Pryor record. So that's like part of your interest. And here's this, or how sports is easier because there's sports memorabilia. Like, oh, these are all old. This is all old baseball gloves and baseball bats and stuff like that. I could see you have an interest and you collect some historical artifacts that go along with that interest. So that's a good one.
His is good. His is good. The sports memorabilia one, like, I don't know. I think some people are just tacky. Just like want my apartment to look like a Buffalo Wild Wings. Or a Hard Rock Cafe. That's a problem with dudes who just think like, well, when you put your posters in frames. I do that. Or people who in Colorado who just love shit with the letter C on it, like you can see behind me right now.
Buddy, you get a location with good graphic design on their thing. They can't leave it alone. That Chicago flag is up everybody's ass because it looks good.
It does. I even have stuff with the Chicago flag on it. We have matching hoodies. We have matching hoodies.
It's a good looking item. People can't leave it alone. Let's go to I want to go to vintage cameras.
Hey, Shane and Kitty Cat Kyle. This is Mailman Matt. I just saw the thing on Instagram, and I collect vintage cameras, film cameras from the 50s, 30s, all the way up till the 80s. when they stopped making them quite so good. I don't know what you want to know about that, but anyway, that's my boring thing that I collect: cameras and classic film lenses.
Vintage okay, I see vintage cameras a lot.
Yeah, me too. I think it's
not to undermine his.
No, I think that's a fairly common collectible item. And the thing I do enjoy about this is like if somebody can actually use it, because everybody fancies themselves a photographer these days.
True.
And I do think like being able to just take a great shot now is kind of a lost skill without having to edit it and like clean it, like it just being what it comes out at. Like, you can't church up a steak after you overcook it. It's just what it is.
Yeah,
like there's a skill set to it.
Visual auto tune. Yeah.
Visual auto tune. Yeah. Anything like a fucking Snapchat filter and everybody's like all of a sudden thinks they're, some famous photographer that I won't name.
Well, I think Ansel Adams is always a good go-to if you want to make fun of anybody taking a picture of anything. Well, look at Ansel Adams over here. Well, look, we got Annie Leibovitz
Margaret Burkwhite over here.
Ann Geddes is another. That's Rachel's idea for a calendar. It's like Ann Geddes, but with dicks. So that's, if you look up what Ann Geddes is, you'll understand why that's a calendar that's going to be great, and also maybe land us in prison when it does get made. I also think maybe it's like the mechanisms, like something that's like a very well, cause like watches, like people love dudes are all about watches and old watches, and they're thousands of dollars for this. And I guess it's just, I think craftsmanship. I don't know. I think part of it is appreciating it too. Yeah. Like maybe this guy really appreciates this camera and like, this is what's interesting about it. And this is how the mechanism in it works, as opposed to this camera and how the mechanism in it works. Because some people just have shit and are just, I need it. And I don't even mean like hoarders. I just mean for display purposes only. Like Jay Leno's warehouse full of classic cars.
Yes. Yeah.
But also, is it also good that you could look at this rich guy with all his cars, but maybe it's nice that somebody that's wealthy has these and is taking care of them for the sake of preservation. Maybe it's good that people are taking an interest in vintage cameras and hanging on to them and keeping them in nice shape, because that's the stuff that does wind up in museums.
And people are,
and hundreds of years from now, if there's still a human race.
We'll see about that.
Well, but people have heart. Like I said, the old Nintendo systems, the first laptop or whatever.
No, I'm agreeing with you on that. I'm just not agreeing with you about a human race being around in a few hundred years.
Do you think it will be?
I do not. No. I think.
Well, then all this is futile, and we shouldn't have anything.
Well, let's hope we can collect some listeners for this podcast. Let's have that. Let's go to It's a Perversion.
Hi, Kyle Kinane. This is Drew.
On Chop Liver.
Collecting's a weird thing. I think it's like a perversion thing. I think it's something like, I have this mine. I have all of these. These are all mine. You can show them to people, and you're expecting them to be impressed. I've had a subscription to a lowbrow art magazine for I don't know how many years, since I was freaking 16.
I didn't know Jugs was lowbrow art.
And I keep all the magazines. I've never thrown one away, even the one my dog chewed up.
That's definitely Jugs.
It's like weird. It's almost like a fetish. Like I have to have these things. I'm almost like a gold.
Absolutely, Jugs.
It's Jugs.
I always have these good intentions of like, well, man, I'm gonna do that art project one day, and these magazines, they're really gonna help. They're really gonna help, because I'm gonna look back at them, I'm gonna reread them, I'm gonna look at all the pictures and get inspired, and I'm gonna be the next Dolly. You never have time to reread them, man. You don't. There's too many, and you just keep them and you move them house to house. Some of them are still in boxes. I've moved them from 2 apartments, still in the same box. I think it's a weird fetish thing where it's just like it's mine. It gives me joy. It's weird. I don't know. That's my opinion, my personal opinion. I move boxes to and from apartments that I'm never going to open with the best intentions. Hope whatever you're plotting goes well. Bye.
Thanks, buddy.
He's
got the angle.
Thanks, guy. Thanks for leaving me out of there. This guy seems like he's collecting redundancy. Like he's just moving these boxes from place to place.
But like we were saying before, the idea that eventually I'm going to get to this project. I mean, I have that in common with this guy. Yeah. I never did that Marie Kondo shit. Like, hold it. And if it sparks joy, keep it. If it doesn't spark joy, throw it out. I'm like, that doesn't work. That fundamentally is wrong.
Yeah.
Guess what I have? A bowl to eat food out of. It doesn't spark fucking joy, but I need it. I'm not going to hold it. No, how do I feel? And then throw it out if I don't get half a boner about it.
I should try that because I have so many t-shirts that I don't wear. And
T-shirts, that's something I have. Like, my sister gave me this. Yeah, like a collector's item where you get them from a venue.
I'm wearing a Bridgetown t-shirt.
Yeah. You get a functional item. But guess what? A t-shirt's a good thing that you had it. You're great. The beautiful thing about phones with cameras is you could take pictures of anything you want and have that memory in a picture. And then somebody less fortunate can wear that shirt. It's a functional item.
Yeah. Well, I do like that he kept calling it a fetish, which is like a little, like, it's not like he's paying someone to step on his nuts with high heels on, like he's not.
Yeah. God damn, that is a thing.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what the magazines are about. Maybe that's why it's harder to throw them out. He doesn't know who's going through his trash. He said he lives in an apartment. You can't throw out. You got your own house. You could throw out whatever weird thing in your trash. You got a shared dumpster. You got to be real careful.
That's a very, very good point. Because I had friends who lived in apartments when I was growing up, and you would see their neighbors just like, you're like, this guy just is so sad working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and he's just like throwing.
Oh. You remember when they were just giving out fleshlights at comedy festivals for a while?
Yes.
I had like 3 of them. You shouldn't have more than one.
Yeah.
And then I had to throw them out. It's like, I got to do this at night in my neighbor's trash.
Have you ever had something like you just end up with a plethora of the thing? Like, whatever, and then people see you having it, you're like, how'd you end up with that? And it's like a big long story. After the first Bridgetown Comedy Festival, the only sponsor that gave cash and product was Taboo Video, which is a porn company. And we had like the last show, we ended up throwing pornography into the crowd, like as like a gag. It was very fun. And then everybody had a bunch of porn. And then like I just took some of it home, and I was like, now I look like a real piece of shit. Like, I just threw them out, but it was like, it was always just like, it would have looked like I had more than someone should have, I guess.
No, I don't know. Yeah. Especially with a computer, like it's deemed as being gross, but okay. To go back to the like Playboys and everything, there is or was a used bookstore next to the Green Mill in Chicago.
Love that
and
bar.
Their basement. And they said their bread and butter was old smut. And they just had most like Playboy. Like, that's a fun gift, is like, oh, what's your birth year? Here's a Playboy magazine from my buddy got me one of those, like December 1976, got me the Playboy from that year. It's a little cheeky. It's also interesting because it's historic and it's got boobs in it.
And there's a little heart to it. Like, they really know you.
Here's something like I thought, and I spent $20 on this old timey magazine.
Yeah, keep your magazines, guy, even though you didn't say my name.
So like old smut, like anything sex related is going to have a culture around it because it's sex. So sure, there's going to be collector culture and fetish culture and the combination of the two. Like, I've got somebody has every dildo from Hitachi. Like, somebody's got
for sure.
Somebody's got the 1983 plug-in with the grounded socket wire plug-in.
The one that only runs off of car batteries or whatever.
Yeah. The one that has the blender attachment so you can kind of hide it in plain sight.
Yeah, so it's like it's for those hard to reach spots in your sofa.
Yeah. No, what are you talking about? It's just
yeah.
Right.
I agree with him, though. There's a little bit of it. What do we go to? Is it Bobblehead?
Let's go. Let's listen to Bobblehead.
Hey, I saw your Instagram thing about collections. I used to work for a Major League Baseball team making all the bobbleheads and free T-shirts that we give away. I have lots of stories about crazy people in their collections.
Making the bobbleheads is like the fact that he made them is interesting.
Yeah.
Sculptor. I'd call him a sculptor.
I call him a molder. But that is the kind of thing, like, is someone I grew up with was in charge of making all the bobbleheads for a major league sports franchise. So many of them would have been stolen and given away as Christmas gifts, and then also ended up in secondhand stores to get rid of the evidence, kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
I was just thinking about that. I was like, that's the way people think they can make. Dumb people think they can make money. It's like, I got a guy on the inside. He designs bobbleheads. In 30 to 40 years, this will be worth something.
But again, if it's just a capitalistic free market way of like saying limited time only, or this, only so many are made. So now we've created value out of nothing by putting a limited amount on it. Like I was reading about Supreme t-shirts. I'd see people wearing Supreme. I didn't know anything about.
I have no idea what the big deal is. Yeah.
But they just like, all right, this one's only out for a week. And then people line up for it. And maybe we can go into this for the last segment of the show.
My nephew asked for those for Christmas. Something from Supreme. Like a $200 baseball cap. Told him to go fuck himself.
It was $200 for a hat.
It was like something like crazy like that.
Yeah.
He wanted, and I was like, I finally understood why my father screamed the phrase, well, because we can't afford it so much. Like, I know. I'm just not going to do it. My thing is like, I don't sound like a dickhead, but I could probably spend $200 on a hat for my nephew if I really wanted to. Mm-hmm. But I know it's not going to be worth $200. And he's not. I don't think he's getting $200 worth of value out of it. I'm afraid he's going to put it on Instagram and try and be an influencer or something stupid.
But that's it's a social currency. Like, do you remember IOU sweatshirts?
No, go ahead though.
That was a big thing. They were like at Chess King and shit like that. And it was IOU was the brand of sweatshirt. And this is before social. I was in junior high, and their thing was, they always had the date. It was like IOU 19. That was the name, the brand name. There's one other brand name that went with it. Like, you'd always pair it with a pair of Z Cavarici pants. And they
look at. Here's young Kyle in his IOU sweatshirt and his Z Cavarici breeches.
Buddy, I got Z Cavarici. This I have guilt about it to this day. Because if you're a good comedian, you carry guilt with you in a backpack for the rest of your life over inconsequential shit.
Yeah.
I had IOU sweatshirt. They put the year on it. So if you got like IOU 1988, and if you were caught wearing that shit in 1989, they may as well have just kicked you in the face in junior high. As soon as that next year came in, you looked like a fucking loser if you were wearing last year's, and the kids would make fun of you. Just manufactured.
Yeah.
To go out of planned obsolescence, but for fashion. And I felt horrible because then, like, at Christmas time, they were expensive for what they were, just sweatshirts and shit. Yeah. And I'd get one at Christmas with that year's date on it, and my heart would sink because my mom I got you an IOU sweatshirt, and it would be good for it'd be good for 6 days.
Oh,
and I got Z Cavaricci's for my 8th grade graduation to wear. And I got to high school, and nobody wears Z Cavarici pants. Those are dumb. And I'm like, I finally got my look sealed up.
You took a hard left turn. Yeah, I think that was Jabot was the big thing when I was.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But the fashion, but the brand name, same thing with like Supreme or any of this shit where they've just told you it's limited, and now it's like a cryptocurrency or anything. The only value it has is its rarity, and if other people want it.
Yeah.
It's not a physical value, it's a t-shirt.
It really is whatever somebody else is willing to pay for, but it's just and then I guess what you're willing to pay for it. I guess now looking back, the thing that makes me feel dumb about like Jabot or starter jackets was another thing.
Yeah.
And this people would collect them and also just wear them. This thing like leads to fashion. It's like that. I should have known it wasn't cool if people in the town I lived and grew up in were doing it. In a way, like if you can get it at Dillard's It shouldn't, like it's not like a big deal.
But you don't know. You're in junior high. Your brain is soft and malleable, and you're being shaped more by these idiots and how they treat you from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. than the common sense of your parents or anything else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like to think that the IOU sweatshirts was just stopped as a company because dads were finally like, well, no, God damn it, I'm not getting you this year's, and they're just like 1991 is going to be huge for us. You'll see.
But streetwear, whatever streetwear. I'm sure maybe my parents were secretly happy that once I got into high school and got into music, I was just buying $5 band t-shirts every weekend. Like I didn't even need clean clothes. I was just buying new shit to support some touring band with my allowance every weekend.
I should not have any issues with people collecting or being a collector because the amount of money I've spent on dumb shit that I thought was fashionable when I was young, or just the amount of hobbies I have started that I have not finished and spent money on, and I thought, well, maybe I'll get into this more. And like the idea of it was more impressive to me than collecting. Like I tried to knit for a while, and then I was like, maybe I'll get like cool needles or something. It's all bullshit. I shouldn't be judging people who collect things at all.
So I'm a big fan of the gear that goes with an activity more than the activity itself. Like I walk into REI and I really think I'm going to get at least mediocre at all the sports they're offering. Yeah. Like the mountaineering section of REI. Like, oh man, this clip could probably have this clip is to stick into the side of a mountain so a rope goes through it and you don't fall to your death. You don't need it anywhere else in your life, and it's $200. But I'm like, yeah, but look at this moves, and then you could probably use that to hang something in the garage if you wanted to.
Is this clip going to build your core strength and traps that make you an elite mountain climber?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you mean these jelly beans? These jelly beans aren't gripping on to any. These jelly beans dropping forks and knives at dinner. We're not climbing a mountain with these hands.
I absolutely buy shit thinking I'm going to get better at it. I spent $50 on a snowboarding jacket this weekend. You know how many times I've worn it?
But it keeps you warm. The jacket keeps you warm.
It does. But I think we both know that I'll be back to denim next weekend.
Too cold out for denim, buddy.
Yeah.
But that's not collecting as much. Like you think
but it's a behavior that lives next door, right? Like it kind of like, or what we think of, like, if we're going to call collecting a mental disorder, or people are. There's also a little bit of I don't know, like shared real estate there between those two. Yeah.
There is something to be, there's some way condition of like calling, like if you buying something with the hopes that it'll motivate you to get into it because you have a financial investment in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be a good jet skier if I just keep renting jet skis.
No, I was like snowboarding this weekend. I was like, well, maybe I'll come back like 3 times next year and really put my effort into it. I'm like, I'm not.
I have a garage full of bikes that I embarrass myself on when I ride them. Like every time I ride, somebody's like, did you borrow that from somebody way better than you?
People actually say that to you?
No, that's what I say to myself. That'll be my excuse if anybody asks about it. Like, this is my cousin's. He's awesome.
Yeah, you can't really do that with a room full of like pogs. You're like, these are my cousins. He's awesome. Yeah.
Well, I guess if you got a room full of Beanie Babies, as long as you could still pay to keep the lights on in that room to be able to see the Beanie Babies, live your life, you know?
Yeah, keep them properly aired so they stay in the perfect condition you need them to be in.
That's true. Yeah, if you got a Beanie Baby humidor, I will think you're strange, but I won't hold it against you because you're not hurting anybody.
Agreed. Still healthier than a cigar humidor.
Very true. Yeah. Beanie Babies over cigars. I'll say that.
I think we got the title of this episode.
Okay. I like it. Lock it down.
Lock it down. Well, with that, everyone, should we say goodnight, Kiki?
Kiki smoking Beanie Babies over here.
That's right. There's no accounting for taste. Slap that ass, everybody. Whatever that means. Thanks for listening. I'm Shane Torres.
Kiki Beanie Baby, straight up.
Kiki.